So, what's up, guys? There comes a point in the guitar journey as a guitar player where you realize you really need to learn your triads. And I'll tell you this, it's probably one of the most important things to learn after you've settled in, you can play a little bit. Yeah, it's just really high up there, and I've been fortunate to be able to have put in a lot of time of these triads, years and years and years of practice and playing. And so I want to share with you guys just kind of a method here to get you learning the triads as fast as possible and kind of digesting this information one bit at a time. So a couple things to start with. As a teacher, I feel like my job is to get you the information and prioritize everything. So that way you kind of have a nice little roadmap and it makes sense to you. Whereas when I was learning this stuff, I did have a teacher. I had some teachers and they were fine, but I was a little bit all over the place. You know, I'd learn a little bit of this, I'd learn a little bit of that. I'd go down this path and it was kind of a dead end. So I'm just going to try to kind of streamline all this stuff for you. Now, this is a big topic, so this is gonna be a series of lessons for you, and mainly it's just gonna be focusing on the triad, the major and the minor triad. And let's just kind of start diving in here. So this is all comprehensive. So this first lesson and these first lessons, if you skip over these lessons, unless you already really know this information, you're going to be doing yourself a disservice 100%. So the first thing we need to know is exactly what is a triad. And so let's take a look at it. So the triad is just simply the three notes that make up a major chord or the three notes that make up a minor chord. So in order to understand that, we just want to see it in the most simple way possible to start. And I'm just going to show you how to look at this, even just away from your instrument, but we can, we're guitar players, so grab your guitar if you got it. We're going to start with C major, and we're going to check out these three notes, okay? So first of all, the three notes we call 1, 3, and 5 are referring to the first, third, and fifth note of the major scale. There's the first 5 notes of the major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we just play 1, 3, 5, that's our triad. If we stack them, we get our major chord. It's that simple. Now, this C major chord has got more than one triad stacked. It's a triad plus 2 notes of a triad in the next octave. So we got 1, 3, 5, 1, 3. Just so you know, all your major chords, if they're more than 3 notes, it's just stacking octaves or stacking notes in different registers. That's chapter 4 material, but that's the stuff you learn first how to play. So let's just take a look at the intervals, because this is really what is going to make things click for you. Before we start memorizing these patterns and shapes, which you may already have done, which is fine, this is going to help you understand these shapes and patterns at a deeper level, so that when you're grabbing the patterns, the shapes, the triads, you're able to actually utilize them properly. So we're just going to start with C being the 1. So the distance between the first and the third note of the major scale, or the first 2 notes of the triad, is a major third, which happens to be 2 whole steps or 4 half steps. Okay, so in this situation, we're on the 3rd fret of the A string, which is a C. We're going to the 7th fret of the A string, which is an E. Okay, so this is the distance between our first two notes. Now we're just choosing to see this linearly on one string, very simply, just for our brain, so we can recognize these patterns and we can understand them. Because with guitar, a lot of times we learn things up and down the neck this way, and we're just memorizing patterns at that point. We're not actually understanding the distance between the notes because it's kind of confusing to see it that way. So here we want to take the time. Okay, that's how far away the 3 is. Not to mention, if I'm playing and I want to grab that 3 on one note, maybe slide. Oops. Right, there's your 3. Major. This is the major chord. So that is a distance of a major third, 2 whole steps. All right, got it. Now, from the 3 to the 5 is a minor third, which is 3 half steps or 1.5 whole steps. So so far we've got 2 distances. They're different. First to the 3 is a major third. 3 to 5 is a minor third. Okay? So, here's the practice, here's the exercise. And you can play whatever you want. I just choose to work with my right hand technique a little bit of muting, palm muting, picking, make it musical. 1, 3, 5. 5, 3, 1. Now, you might think, well, that's it, just 2 intervals. Not quite. We've got 5 to the 1, because when we're playing music and we're playing on this instrument, same with piano, we can also stack these triads so that we come to the next octave. So this is 1 again in the next octave. So we got 1, 3, 5, 1. Now, what's the distance between the 5 and the 1? This is the last interval you need to understand for your major triad. Got a major third, 4 frets, 4 half steps. Minor third, 3 half steps. Perfect fourth, which is 5 half steps. If you add those all up, you get 12 half steps, which is an octave. Makes sense, because we're going from C to C. So add that into the exercise. And you can even say it to yourself: 1, 3, 5. 1, 1, 5, 3, 1. Okay. Now, since it's the guitar, that works. Well, that's not just the guitar, but that works in every key. We're on C. If I did it with G, it's the same distance. There's 1, 5, 3, 1. F would be. So the distance is the same, obviously. It's just the notes are changing. And as far as learning the notes go, I encourage you to learn the notes in your triads if you're interested in that. Eventually, that's something I'm going to be going over in this lesson, in these triad lessons. For now, it might be a little bit of too much information overload. But I'll go over ways of memorizing the notes in the triads as well. But for now, we're just looking at the distances, and it's just important to know the scale degrees, the 1st, 3rd, and 5th. All right, cool. So that's the major triad. So then the only other thing we need to look at now, well, let's look at the minor triad. Okay? So what people don't realize is some people do, maybe you know this, they're only one note different. So C major and C minor, you only change one note and you get the minor chord. And that's the 3. So a minor is 1, flat 3, 5, 1. So what happens? We change the 3, we lower it a half step. So now our first interval for C minor, instead of a major third, is a minor third. So it's 1.5 whole steps or 3 half steps. Now from the flat 3 to the 5 has changed since we've lowered it. Instead of a minor third, this becomes a major third. So we've got 1, flat 3, 5. And then from the 5 to the 1 is still a perfect fourth. So the only thing we've done is we've changed one of those notes. So now the intervals change. 1, flat 3, 5, 5, 1. Just make it musical. Just have fun with it. So here's a great exercise. Do that with the minor, do it with the major, and then go back and forth. So major, minor. You're training your ear too. Major, minor. Make it musical. Yeah? Okay, cool. So this is going to set the foundation. One string. When you're learning anything theory-wise, patterns, stuff like this, one string is really where our brains can actually understand it linearly speaking, rather than this crazy puzzle of a guitar fretboard that we have to deal with, right? Once you understand it on a foundational level, it's much easier to see these patterns play out on the fretboard. So I encourage you to take your time with this. You can run through more than just C and C minor, of course. If you want to do all 12, you should do all 12. I would encourage you to do that. There's only 12 notes, so, and they're all the same distance, so that'll really kind of reinforce what you're doing. And if I'm jamming with a C, I know I'm on the 5. Got to get up to that 1 is a perfect fourth. So even though I'm not in the same part of the guitar, if I know what note I'm on, the 1, I can slide up to that 3 because I know it's just 2 whole steps or a major third. If I want to slide down to the 5, down a perfect fourth, minor third. Okay, anyway, so this is just going to be a nice little series for triads. I hope you guys enjoy it. And if you have any questions about any of this stuff, just hit me up in the comments. And I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Peace.